Hello there, and welcome back to the show. And today I want to talk about my experience at the Toronto Comicon in 2024, as well as AEW Dynamite and Rampage from March 20th, 2024. Now, I know it's been over a month since both of these events took place, but I figured, hey, no time like the present, and better late than never. So I figured I'd just briefly talk about my experience at these events and how I enjoyed them and the time I had and etc. And well, let's start off with which event came first. Now, the first of these two events that took place was the Toronto Comic Con, which happened on the weekend of March 15, 16, and 17 of 2024. I attended on March 15, and it was a ton of fun. I love attending conventions. This was my second time attending the Toronto Comic Con. I attended last year, and man, I've been attending conventions since 2016, so I can't remember the which convention this was, like the number. I genuinely can't. But it was a ton of fun. I attended the Toronto Comic Con this year dressed as Deckham from Death Parade, one of my favorite anime. Love that show, and well, I knew I could pull Deckham off, so I went ahead and cosplayed as Deckham. And one of the reasons I love attending conventions is just interacting with the people, meeting fellow anime fans or fellow comic book fans, or and just the people in general, and talking and meeting other cosplayers, taking pictures, and it's just a ton of fun. It's just I love being at conventions. It's like you can be there for hours on end and not feel bored, and that's one of the beauties of conventions. It's just love being in the environment. One of the things also that I love about this year's Toronto Comic Con in particular was that they introduced a code check, because last year there was no code check, and if you live in Toronto or have ever been to Toronto, it is pretty cold, and even in March when it's the beginning of spring, it is pretty cold. So last year I had my winter coat, and I was like carrying it around, and every time I wanted to grab a picture with someone or someone wanted to grab a picture with me, I had to like put the coat down, and it was just like very inconvenient. So I'm really glad they introduced a coat check this year. That's amazing. Another thing I love about conventions is the chance to meet celebrities. Personally speaking, I love meeting celebrities that you see on film or TV or in cartoons or anime, because it's just one of those things. It's just meeting a character, especially if you've watched a show or a thing they've been in for a long time. Meeting them in person in some cases can be a dream come true. Comic Con this year, I'll admit, the celebrity lineup did feel a little weak. However, I did meet Tom Cavanaugh, who played Harrison Wells slash Reverse Flash on the Flash TV show that ran on the CW from 2014 to, I believe, 2023. Look, I watched The Flash when I was in high school. It was one of my favorite shows when I was in high school. I thought Reverse Flash was a great villain in The Flash's first season, and The Flash, even though the show's quality of writing did decline and it did get pretty bad, especially in later seasons, Tom Cavanaugh as Wells and the various versions of that character is something that I found to be consistently good. Like, even as the show's quality deteriorated, he was one of the elements that I thought, you know what, at least he was good. So I enjoyed Tom Cavanaugh's performance throughout the Flash's run. Thought he was great, and it was a pleasure to meet him. It was incredibly kind and just an overall cool moment. Another moment that was pretty fun, and I happened to stumble upon this by accident. There was a Chainsaw Man meetup event at the Toronto Comic Con, and I happened to stumble upon it by accident, and it was just very cool to behold. There were definitely a couple of LOL moments, and made a really cool friend during that event. So that was just an awesome thing to behold and be a part of. As I mentioned earlier, I love attending conventions. It's a great time. I love hanging out with cosplayers, talking, taking pictures. It's always really cool to see, and it's also just like a surreal thing to because last year at Comicon and even this year, like people came to me and asked to take a picture with me, and I was like, wow, like because like I'm just some dude, so it was just a cool thing. So the Toronto Comic Con was a ton of fun. Had a great time, and looking forward to next year's convention. And then, after the Toronto Comic Con, 5 days later, AEW Dynamite and Rampage live from Toronto Coca Cola Coliseum. This was my third AEW event. I was at Rampage and Dark Elevation tapings in October of 22, and I was at Forbidden Door last year. And this was my third AEW show, and if I'm not mistaken, I do believe my sixth overall wrestling show. Um, this was a really, really fun show. AEW was on a string of fantastic shows in March coming out of Revolution. Revolution itself was a phenomenal pay per view. The Dynamite after Revolution was great. The one after that was Big Business, the debut of Mercedes Moné. And this was the Dynamite after that, if I'm not mistaken. And this was a phenomenal show. Obviously, being in Toronto, the big draw for this was going to be Adam Copeland and Christian Cage, and that's exactly what it ended up being. The main event of this show was Christian Cage defending the TNT Championship against Adam Copeland in an I Quit match, and as soon as that was announced, I knew I had to be there. Now, I did attend this show in cosplay as well. Last year for Forbidden Door, I cosplayed as Darby Allin, and for this Dynamite Rampage, I decided to like cosplay as a hybrid of Christian Cage and Sting. So I wore a black turtleneck and painted my face similar to Sting's face paint, or my best approximation at it. Still not the best at applying face paint. In any case, one of the things I love about attending wrestling shows, and I mentioned this with Comic Con, is just interacting with fans. I love talking to other wrestling fans about wrestling, the state of the industry, what's going on TV, etc., etc. Anyways, the show itself, they did tape Ring of Honor before Dynamite actually got on. So the way the show was structured was they taped about an hour of Ring of Honor, then we got 2 hours of Dynamite and an hour of Rampage. So it was essentially 4 hours. So by the time the show officially ended, I did feel the length of the 4 hours. In any case, they tape Ring of Honor, and then we flash forward into AEW's Dynamite. If I remember correctly, the show kicked off with Mercedes Moné, who made her debut at Big Business the week prior. This is the former Sasha Banks in WWE. She got a decent promo. I do feel that she should have wrestled at least one match by now. I don't like the fact that she's essentially not wrestling up until Double or Nothing. But I mean, it is what it is. I'm not Tony Khan. I'm not in charge of booking, so we'll see how that plays out. The first match on the show was Eddie Kingston defending the Continental Championship against Kazuchika Okada, and this was a solid match. Love Eddie Kingston. The reaction this man gets is unreal. Eddie Kingston is a great talent. I do feel that how to phrase this. It was a little weird with the whole Triple Crown thing that they set up. I thought they were gonna like do some type of merger with the New Japan Strong, the Ring of Honor World, and the Continental Championship, and not have it be just another championship, but unfortunately that's what ended up happening. However, that doesn't take away from this match. This match was great. Okada is phenomenal. Eddie Kingston is great. These two had a solid back and forth. By the end of this match, Okada did win the Continental Championship, which was the right call. Eddie Kingston, him winning the belt in the finals of that tournament against Jon Moxley was a great moment, but I feel like he's done all he can as champion, so Okada winning it was the right call, and I like the work that he's been doing as with the Young Bucks as part of the whole new elite. So I thought that was cool. Him being confronted by Pac was a great moment. Looking forward to their match later tonight on Dynasty. So that was solid. The other highlights of the night, Will Ospreay. This man, when he made his entrance, was unreal. Like the crowd chanting "Bruv," 5,000 plus people chanting "Bruv." That was just awesome. For my money, Will Ospreay in ring might be the best wrestler on the planet. The intensity and the passion and the moves that this man delivers when he wrestles is unlike anything I've ever seen. I've been a fan of Will Ospreay since 2018, and then he's just great. His match against Bryan Danielson later tonight might I'm looking forward to it. That would be an understatement. I am beyond excited for this match, and I think it might end up being one of the best matches of the year because those two guys are great. Osprey cut a phenomenal promo, and looking forward to how his AEW run plays out. Swerve Strickland. He had a match against the Butcher, went a little under 5 minutes. This was essentially a glorified squash. But the real highlight was after the match. Swerve called out Joe, who did come out, and he confronted Swerve. I've been enjoying their feud, the contract signing segment. I thought that was great. Swerve signing the contract in his own blood and then being put through the table by Joe. That was a great scene. But the highlight of the segment was Don Callis. When Don Callis came down, and I was at Forbidden Doors, so I know what it's like to have the booze rain down on Don Callis. But at this Dynamite, I genuinely couldn't hear a word that Don Callis was saying. That's how loud the boos were. I had to like literally go back and rewatch the segment on YouTube to actually listen to what Callis said because I genuinely couldn't understand. I couldn't hear a single word that came out of Don Callis's mouth. It was just that's how loud the boos were. And the main event, Adam Copeland versus Christian Cage for the TNT Championship. This was phenomenal. This was an I Quit match, first I Quit match that I've ever seen live, and it was great. In this match, I couldn't do it justice. This was a great match, one of AEW's best matches of the year. The story between these two guys that's been building ever since Adam Copeland's debut at Wrestle Dream last year. I've really enjoyed everything they've done with these two guys. Well, almost everything. This was a great match. It had moments of violence. It had moments of comedy. The hockey fight, the hockey goalpost, the involvement of Nick Wayne, Shayna Wayne, Killswitch, Daddy Magic, Daniel Garcia, all of that was executed very well. The use of weapons, everything about this match was great start to finish. And the ending and the use of Spike. I was not expecting it to be used that way, but the crowd absolutely loved it. And this is something that I noticed when I attended SmackDown last year. The sight of a capacity crowd singing Metalingus by Alter Bridge, that is genuinely a magical moment. The passion when fans sing those lyrics. On this day, I see clearly, man, that's one of the reasons why I love professional wrestling, the passion of the fans. Adam Copeland did win the TNT Championship. Cage did utter the I Quit. And this was a phenomenal match. And to an overall great Dynamite. The crowd was hot for Dynamite start to finish. The chants, everything. Toronto wrestling fans are incredible. It's just, you can feel the passion, and being there live was great. They did tape Rampage, well, not tape, Rampage was live. Rampage immediately followed this, and it was a solid card, but after 3 hours of a show, plus making it all the way to the arena, I was a little checked out while Rampage was happening. I was just tired, but it was an overall solid show. And yeah, that was my experience at AEW, and I had a great time, and looking forward to the next time they're in Toronto. And well, that was my experience at the Toronto Comicon and AEW from March of 2024. Had fun at both shows, and that's all for this video. Thank you for watching and see you on the next one.